What do we value? I don't think we ask our leaders that in no matter which sector we're talking about now. What do we truly, deeply value? Because it seems to me that in our society, you see, we don't send our young women and men out on a journey of finding themselves and finding their vision. We give them a vision and we stuff it down their throats. We define success for them, we hand it to them, go and do that. What do we value? What is of true value and true worth? Now, at the same time that I started working with business leaders, I also began working with a group of Native American people, and that went on for about a 20-year period. But one of the very first things that they did with me was they asked me that question. What is of true value? What is of real worth? And I'm struggling to answer. Gave them a number of things I know: social justice, peace, fairness. And derisive laughter was greeted this, and then they said, listen, if we got this right, you've come to us to learn. It's not the other way round, is it? Although I'm sure we'll discover something along the way. We went outside and we traveled, and eventually we came to this little glade in these woods, and it was summer in the coastal mountains of Northern California, and it was very hot. And we walked into this little glade, and they sat me down in that glade. I had a hat and a few things, and they said, we're going to ask you that question again now. What is of real value? What is of true worth? And I sat there feeling rather anxious and stumbling around trying to find a reply, and muttered something, and they just turned and walked away. But not before they said, you will not leave this spot until you've answered that question. You agree? You understand? That is the deal. I said, yeah, I understand. So about 6 or 7 hours later, it was coming to night time. I was very thirsty and very hot. And I was sitting there and feeling a bit pissed off as well, wondering if this was a good idea. Went through the night, and the following morning, mid-morning, and now I'm really baking hot. I'm really hot, I'm very thirsty. I've been pretty much round once without water. I was hungry, but I've long since forgotten about hunger. The hunger has ceased to be important to me. I'm just thirsty. And they came to me again and they said, Mac, what is of true value? What is of real worth in this world to you as a human being? And I started to answer, and then I felt tears coming up through me, and I sort of controlled them, pushed them down, tried to think, came up with something. They didn't reply, they just turned around and walked away again. It was 2 days in, and I feel like I'm burning like a crisp in the desert. I am so hot. I am so profoundly thirsty. I am so filled with grief as well. So sad, and feeling that I must be somewhere in here, moving between, are they trying to trick me? Is this some kind of like wizardry little like riddle? But I can't get anywhere with that. I'm trying to think, what is of real worth? What is of true value? It was 3 days. And I was beginning to consider that this might be the last rather reckless act that I'd taken, and that perhaps it was all going to finish here and I just didn't get it and failed the class. It was 3 days, and I'm so profoundly thirsty that I'm in really quite deep trouble. I'm really thinking that actually perhaps, is this dangerous? Is it, I'm feeling it is dangerous. I'm frying. And they came to me again. I was just lying on the ground. And they looked at me, there's a real softness with them now. What is of true value? What is of real worth? And I could only say one thing. I said, water. And they said, hey, water. We have forgotten, they said, what is sacred of water. Western people, they said, you're never thirsty. You don't know what's important anymore. You don't understand because you always have available to you as much as you could possibly want to drink. We know this is sacred. We have utterly lost a relationship with what is most profoundly important. And as Anita Roddick said, since her name was mentioned at the beginning of this, reverence for life. This is what we want in the hearts of our leaders. I am absolutely sure, no matter where they sit and in whatever capacity. He said, now, there are three others. One of them, do we need to put a plastic bag around your head and knot it for you to come up with what that one might be? It's air and earth and fire and water, food and shelter and all these things. This is what we need our leaders to be.